Hey guys, welcome to another episode of the Halftime Roomies. We're back this week with our UFC expert in the house, Parul Thakur,
Hey,
and we're talking about the UFC fight night that happened this past weekend and UFC 252, which is happening on the 15th of August at the Apex Center in Enterprise, Nevada. So let's start off with the results from this past week.
Yep.
We had the heavyweight main event between Derek Lewis and Alexei Orenek, which ended in a TKO in round 2. So what are your thoughts on that?
well, nothing surprising to be honest. I know for a fact that I've seen Olenek fight, and I'm really surprised as to why is he taking up fights at this age, and given that he has so many matches under his belt. But then it was a very good finish by Derek Lewis. A high knee to the body, then a right hook, and then he just hammered him. But then the fight should have been stopped by Herb Dean pretty soon. I mean, as you said, there were 10 punches too many,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah, but then it was a good victory for Derek Lewis overall.
Co-main event, middleweight fight. Chris Weidman making a comeback with a sloppy finish and victory over Akhmedov.
Probably one of the most boring fights I've ever seen.
Yeah.
Chris Weidman, given his fall from grace in terms of now that he's an unranked fighter in the list, the victory would definitely propel him, but then he is way behind in terms of challenging for a title. So not that the victory was insignificant, but he has a long way to go again because
Yeah.
there are way better fighters in the list right now.
But I guess, UFC did a good job with the Fight Island this
yeah.
past summer.
100%, 100%.
It's pretty interesting watching a crowdless UFC fight night main events
But
going on.
Even more than that, the kind of protection and the guidance that was provided to the staff and the fighters,
Yeah.
constant testing, people being isolated, all the fighters were isolated in their respective rooms, and the setup of the Fight Island itself. I was watching about how the project managers went about the whole concept. It was great. It was good
Yeah.
to watch. Yeah.
So they're back in America, they're back in Nevada. UFC 252 happens in 6 days, August 15th. The main card, let's talk about the main card. So we have the first fight, which is the light heavyweight fight.
Yeah.
I guess that's between Ankalaev and Cutelaba, which is a rematch from, UFC 169, Fight Night 169.
Yeah, they're fighting again after 6 years. I think the last fight that they had was in 2014, and Ankalaev was the winner
Yep.
by TKO. But then even they're fighting after 6 years, I definitely see the same result. I think that Ankalaev would win the fight, and again it would be a TKO.
It's TKO.
Yeah.
Right.
That's what my prediction is.
Bantamweight fight between John Dodson and Merab Dalishvili.
Yeah.
You see that going?
John Dodson, man, coming back after like so many years. I used him as a fighter in whenever I play UFC 2 or UFC 3. So it's very hard to call, but then given that John Dodson has been away for so long, I see him losing this fight.
Yeah, it's kind of hard to. I mean, I won't be surprised if he wins it. It's just
Because he's
logically
a good
not-
striker.
Yeah, but it's just. I mean, if you haven't fought for that long, it's kind of hard to mount a
Yeah,
comeback.
it definitely. In 3 rounds, I mean, your conditioning, you don't really need much gas in the tank, given that your weight is less, of course.
Yeah.
But then being a striker all around, not sure how this fight's gonna pan out. But then I have a feeling that John Dodson might lose, and if he loses again, he goes way back in the list.
Right. So you're predicting Dalishvili to win the fight.
Yes. It might come as a surprise to a lot of fans, but then yeah.
Next on the card, we have heavyweight fight.
Yeah.
Junior Dos Santos versus Jairzinho Rosenstruck. Now, Rosenstruck was taken down by Ngannou.
Oh, yeah.
In,
Taken down. He was hammered. with
UFC
just one
249
punch.
back in May.
Yeah.
It was a TKO in
Yeah.
round 1.
Yeah.
And this is also Dos Santos' first fight since Jan 25th. Fight night 166, so he lost the main event to Curtis Blades.
Yeah. I
So
remember.
both coming off of losses. Dos Santos is coming back after 8 months.
Yeah.
So where do you see this fight going?
So it's more of a fight where it's experience over somebody who's walked in relatively new. Rosenstruck's record was 10 wins and no losses. But then he lost to Ngannou with that one punch. But then
Yeah.
kudos to him to come back and fight again in 3 months. Dos Santos, on the contrary, has defeated 5 champions during his tenure as a fighter. overall, I think this fight would go 3 rounds. I don't think this would be a knockout victory for either party, but then I think it's going to go 3 rounds, and Dos Santos would edge it.
Right. I have a feeling that Rosenstruck will take this fight.
Why do you think so?
Yeah, I just think it'll be a TKO. It'll be a lucky shot. It's just, I just think Dos Santos might not be in the best shape of his life to take a fight after such a long gap.
For me, I think it's experience over what Rosenstruck brings to the table, but then I think he's going to take him down. I think that fight would go to the ground, and if it does, Jairzinho Rosenstruck has no chance then, for sure.
Moving on to the co-main event bantamweight fight, we have Sean O'Malley, undefeated Sean O'Malley versus Marlon Vera.
Dude, Sugar Sean O'Malley is one of those strikers, one of those fighters, and he's a striker too, that you won't see them come up that often. He has been exceptional in all his fights, and his victories have been so different than the other fighters. Unpredictable shots.
Yeah.
He's good on the ground. He's good in grappling. He's a very good striker. Has a very strong chin, and he is one of those fighters who would cause a lot of problems to other bantamweight fighters. And I just hope that if he wins this fight and in the upcoming maybe 1 or 2 more fights, he becomes a ranked fighter, and he is the one who would definitely go for the bantamweight title and win it. He's just that good.
Right.
Definitely. And I see this being a clear victory for Sean O'Malley.
Yeah, Sean O'Malley's been on a good run. I mean, I think Sean O'Malley beat Eddie Wineland at 250 by TKO in round 1. So I guess, I would also go with Sean O'Malley for this fight.
Yeah, I mean, there's no doubts to this.
Yeah.
Sean O'Malley is going to take it, and I think it's going to be another TKO. It's not going to go 3 rounds. Oh, if it's a co-main event, so it's going to go 5 rounds. But then I think this fight would be completed within a couple of rounds or 3, maybe, not more than that.
Yeah. Next up, we have our final fight, the main event, DC Miocic, part 3, round 3.
So want DC to lose, man. Like literally a punch right to his face, and he gets knocked down. I hate DC to the core.
He's a whiner. He whines a lot.
Oh yeah, he definitely does. The first fight that he won, that particular fight, Stipe was in good shape. Everything was going good. But he kept on poking. As soon as he was punching, he was leaving his hands a bit loose, poking him in the eye all the time. He was stopped a couple of times as well. And when he got that opportunity to elbow him, he had eye poked him right that 1 second before. So that was something that I couldn't take. Now that John Jones was out of the picture due to his antics of the UFC ring, Miocic got back.
Yeah, but I guess also DC stepped up a weight class to heavyweight, right?
Yeah, but then that's not a problem for him. He can cut down. Light heavyweight and heavyweight are not too much to switch.
I don't really see DC going back to the light heavyweight just because he's not going to beat
John Jones ever.
Jones. Yeah,
no,
that's not happening.
No, definitely not. So stepping up, being a heavyweight contender, the second fight, I love that shot from Stipe Miocic to his body, man.
Yeah.
The moment he got it,
TKO took him down.
He just went covering his body, and he was out after that.
Yeah, Miocic beat him up pretty good in that fight last year. But the fight's happening after a year. Both of them haven't fought since. It's happening almost a year to the day.
Yeah.
So both have been out of the ring for almost a year. DC, as we can all tell, has probably had too many donuts with his coffee for breakfast.
He's a walking donut, dude.
Yeah.
he's a walking donut for sure. Like, he doesn't even look a professional fighter.
He's way out of shape.
I look at his tummy and I just laugh out loud. But then again, just coming back to this fight, I think Miocic is going to take it.
Yeah.
Lanky ass firefighter, having that reach advantage.
Yeah.
Good at blocking takedowns, and I think he would punch the living hell out of him.
Yeah.
But then I think it is going to go the distance. Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Because again, credit to DC, he has a good chin, and so does Miocic.
Okay.
So I have a feeling that Miocic might edge it. I know there are only 2 options: either they go 5 rounds or somebody gets knocked out. But then I have a feeling that Miocic would take it at the end of the day.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, so assuming DC loses the fight, which in most books he does.
Yeah.
Do you see him retiring from UFC? Because he's 41 years old as well.
Yeah, he's 41 years old. If he retires, he would definitely leave a great legacy, being a champ.
Yeah.
Yeah, in 2 divisions. But then if I was DC, I would go down a weight class and actually challenge John Jones and actually defeat him just once, just to have that icing on the cake. Else, apart from that, he has a great career.
Yeah.
If you look at it, great fights, defeated the best of the best that he could fight. But then again, I think even this particular piece where that he could not defeat John Jones definitely irks him, and he definitely loses sleep at night over this.
It is true. I guess, I mean, the one thing that will pinch him his whole life if he doesn't go down a class and take round 3 against John Jones.
Yeah.
I guess it will pinch him his whole life that he lost
Yeah,
to John Jones twice.
More than that, actually, the light heavyweight, the heavyweight class, it's a complete whitewash. John Jones literally has no one to fight right now.
Yeah.
So if DC loses, and it's not a big if, I feel he'll lose. I think he should not retire. I think he should go down a weight class, challenge John Jones once again, and see where that goes.
And if he loses, then retire.
Then he should retire. He has done more than enough,
Yeah.
and he's a great pundit. He can again be on the commentary table and do what he needs to do.
Yeah. So I guess that's it for the UFC 252. But in other big news, the greatest, the king, the best of all time, at least in my books, the best of all time, Conor McGregor. Conor McGregor just proposed to his girlfriend of 12 years, Dee Devlin.
Oh yeah, Dee Devlin.
This past weekend.
Oh.
So
know that.
So he proposed to her this past weekend. Finally, after 12 years, so I think they're getting married as well.
No, but then
Very
apart
soon.
from that, do you know there's another news? He wants to challenge Manny Pacquiao for a boxing match.
Yeah, I mean that's all. I mean,
all money antics.
it's, I mean, he'll make his $250,000, quarter of
again.
$1 billion. He won't even. I don't think at this point McGregor cares about winning. He just cares about expanding his business. Because I mean, his fashion line, August McGregor, one of the best whiskeys we've had in a while.
in a while, proper 12. Yeah.
He's built a very solid business empire.
Yeah.
And at just 32 years old, he's done what most of us will never cannot even imagine of doing, right?
But then from a fighter standpoint, he hasn't defeated Khabib yet. After all the jabs, all the drama, all the fiasco caused, he didn't do jack against him. And
but that's the thing. I mean, who knows? I mean, I have a feeling that McGregor's probably waiting for the Gaethje and Khabib fight. I have a feeling that McGregor might make a U-turn next year and come back and challenge Khabib.
he would, but then he would again have to step up and maybe fight Tony Ferguson for that.
He'll have to, I guess he'll have to make a couple
He'll have to make a
of fights
comeback,
before
couple
he
of fights,
becomes the
yes.
number one contender.
Yeah.
I think Tony Ferguson and maybe even Justin Gaethje, if Gaethje is not the champion by that point.
Because that particular weight class is so exciting. You got Dustin Poirier as well. You got Dan Hooker in the list.
Yeah.
Then you got McGregor. You got Tony
Is
Ferguson.
Max Holloway in the same?
No. Max Holloway was a division down. Yeah. So let's see. I mean, but then McGregor as a fighter should come back to the ring. He should.
Okay, so here's my thing. I don't want to see McGregor fight at all ever. I think McGregor has a very impressive, one of the best mixed martial art resumes already. Double division champion, first ever to do it. Successful with UFC. Made a lot of money with that just that one boxing fight.
With Floyd Mayweather.
Successful businessman, 33 years old. He can just retire at this point and just have a very good life.
I don't know. I mean, if you claim that, I want to be the best fighter in the world,
Yeah.
and you got those 2 belts and being a 2 division champ, great. You couldn't sustain it. Then there's a fighter who came up and battered you like anything.
Yeah.
And after everything that you did to just rile that guy up,
Yeah.
he not only beat you up, he went and beat your staff up as well.
Yeah.
And you couldn't do anything about it.
Yeah.
So, I mean, if I, not saying that if I was Conor McGregor, but then if you call yourself a great fighter, achieve your targets that you thought that you want to, or you yelled out loud for those. You kept on asking for a fight, and you got one, and you were battered, and you didn't do anything after that. You didn't take
But
a fight that was
that's
coming
fine.
your
I
way.
mean, losing the fight is fine because the thing is, I think he's already done so much before losing to Khabib that one loss to Khabib doesn't tarnish his legacy.
It doesn't tarnish.
It doesn't take away
It doesn't
anything from
tarnish
the
his
fact that
legacy,
he's-
but then he needs to keep his mouth shut and actually not bother Khabib anymore. Then, because he's still tweeting against.
But you know
him.
why he does that, right?
He keeps tweeting
it's just the the eyeballs on his brand, and just the money he makes, right?
That's there. But then he keeps tweeting against him. So he's like, oh, so Khabib says, I'll take Gaethje into the deep water and whatnot. And then he comes up with this whole Irish phrase that you're something and something else. I couldn't even sort of translate it as to what it meant. But then that's not even your fight. You're not even the next contender. So what are you tweeting about, and why are you after his life? You can't beat him.
I think it's just the kind of just getting eyeballs on the event itself. I think you know what, I think as much as I hate Dana White as whatever he is as a person, but I think he's a good businessman. I think I have a feeling that Dana White kind of has a good relationship with Conor McGregor.
Oh, definitely.
I won't be surprised if Conor's being paid by UFC to kind of just rile people up, just get more kind of controversy with the fights coming out.
Maybe, but then I know for sure that Dana will definitely bank on a McGregor versus Khabib.
Oh yeah, definitely.
That's going to happen.
Yeah.
Not this year, the next year for sure.
Yeah.
But it will happen.
And I mean, the thing is that if McGregor does decide to come back, I have a feeling that Dana will just give him the title shot straight away against Khabib.
Oh.
And if he loses, he loses. If he wins, he wins.
I don't think so that would happen. Only because there are way too many contenders in the list.
The fact is that if Khabib beats Gaethje and Khabib beats Ferguson after that, then it's Khabib, then it's just McGregor left, right?
Yeah.
Back then.
Or he fights Poirier.
Or he fights Poirier and then he jumps up to the contender list.
Then he jumps up to the contender list. Yeah.
But it'll be interesting. I mean, personally, I don't see him coming back at all now. But if he does, we'll see what happens then.
Yeah, definitely. And I hope we get to see Israel Adesanya, the dream match. Israel Adesanya and John Jones fight, either individually in their list, or they have a fight amongst themselves, man. Because again, John Jones has wiped out his division, and Israel Adesanya doesn't really have a challenger right now. Maybe Robert Whittaker, but then he took Whittaker out already.
It feels like either or will have to jump weight classes because those two divisions are kind of dead. There's no way to challenge them really.
So do you want John Jones to come down, or do you want Adesanya to go up a division?
I want to see John Jones to come down.
Yeah, same thing. I want the same thing to happen.
I want to see him come down.
And he actually can.
And he can. Interesting times ahead for UFC.
Definitely.
Good card coming up.
Yeah.
And so I guess that does it for us for this episode. I think we'll be back in October for UFC 254.
Yeah.
For Khabib's fight.
Khabib Gaethje. Great fight.
Good fight.
Yeah.
So that does it for us at Halftime Roomies, and keep safe, and we'll see you soon. Cheerio.
See ya.